Hey everyone, this is David Brown, and today is April 15th, 2021, which means that we are now at the halfway point of the spring season for the Braddock Bay Hawk Watch. So I thought I would just take a look at the data so far for April and kind of give a summary of what's been happening this season. I made a video at the end of March talking about what kind of March we had, which was this year was a good March. We had a lot of birds. So that has really continued into April as well, if we take a look here at the data. So the one thing I want to point out is that if you look at the totals, there were a lot of days that we did really well with multiple thousand birds, but there's also quite a few days that we got completely rained out or just had lousy weather. So you see a 0 and 9. Today was kind of lousy. We had still pulled out a couple hundred. A couple days at the beginning with less than 1,000. But so some lousy days and then a lot of really good days. We had a total of 7 days with more than 1,000 birds, which if we compare that to last April 2020, we see for the first half of the month, we only had 2 days with over 1,000 birds, with the high day being 1,500. So definitely the April total this year is much higher than it was last year at this time. Now, part of that is because the peak of the vultures came in March last year, whereas we've gotten more in April rather than March this year. But I did the math, and right now we're about 1,400 turkey vultures ahead of where we were last year on this date. So overall, we're ahead. And also for birds, overall this year, we're about 2,666 raptors ahead of where we were last year, I think it is. So 1,400 turkey vultures plus 1,200 other raptors. So overall, we're doing really well compared to last season. It's hard to compare to all the other seasons just because there's a lot of math involved, because it's hard to get the data for what the season total was on April 15th. But we go back to this year's data. We can see our season total right now stands at 23,540. with 15,000 of those coming in April. So March is definitely the slowest month. We had 8,000 some birds in March, and already in April we've had 15,000. Couple of nice highlights, black vulture, short-eared owl. I guess the other noteworthy thing is still no northern goshawks. Yesterday we had a couple birds that we tried to turn into goshawks. I wasn't convinced on any of them. One might have been, but usually by now we've had some goshawks. There's never been a season with no northern goshawks. The lowest was 2018 when there was only one. So hopefully we get at least one this season. The weather the next few days, I think tomorrow is looking similar to today, pretty lousy, but couple decent days coming up maybe over the weekend. And but no spectacular southwest winds in the forecast. But really, I'd say the story so far this April has been we're getting spectacular flights even when the winds are not southwest. So, we're pulling out days with 3,000 birds, 2,000 birds. So even on the off wind days, the flight line has been relatively close to the platform. Okay, that's the summary. Come out and join us for the second half of the season. There's still tens of thousands of birds yet to come. Like I said, we're at 23,000 now. By the end of the season, last year was a low year. We only had like 50,000, but if the good conditions keep up, 60,000, 70,000 is definitely possible, or sometimes even more. So come out and join us. We're starting to get all the broad wings, and we'll look forward to counting a lot of hawks.